Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for Commanding Conversations, presented by Empower's Command Shift Coalition in partnership with the powerhouse organization Girls Who Code. I'm Bertina Ceccarelli, the CEO of Empower, and I'm honored to welcome you to this timely gathering, Thriving in the Age of AI, a playbook for women in tech. I'm especially excited to see leaders from Citi, Tech NYC, Freed, and Lightcast joining today's important conversation. As the workplace continues to evolve and change at a record pace, we believe this moment calls for more than just awareness. It calls for action. At Empower and through our Command Shift Coalition, we're helping individuals from low to moderate income communities train, upskill, and confidently step into tech careers that are shaping the future. In a recent Forbes article, I shared that building an AI resilient workforce means more than mastering the latest tools. It requires developing the very human strengths, adaptability, creativity, and curiosity that allow people to grow with change instead of being sidelined by it. And that's what today's conversations are all about, understanding the trends, anticipating the shifts, and preparing more women to lead in a tech-driven economy. So to kick us off, I'm excited to introduce our first session, The AI Landscape, Trends to Watch. This conversation will feature today's moderator, Command Shift's very own Executive Director, Candace Dixon, and will include insights from Matt Walsh, a longtime Command Shift partner and labor market expert from Lightcast. Let's get started.
Well, thank you, Bertina, for that very warm welcome and for reminding us what's truly at stake and possible as we navigate this age of AI. The inspiration for today's Commanding Conversations came from a simple but urgent question. How can we help women, especially those entering tech from non-traditional backgrounds, not only keep up, but lead in this rapidly changing landscape? We know AI is already reshaping the job market. It's automating tasks, redefining entire roles, and creating demand for skills we hadn't prioritized even a couple of years ago. But while the opportunities are growing, women are being left behind. In fact, according to Randstad, women only make up 29% of the AI skilled workforce globally. And that gap continues to grow, especially as companies continue their AI adoption. Reports like LinkedIn Skills on the Rise make it clear. AI skills like machine learning, data analysis, and programming are climbing rapidly. But what's just as important are power skills, critical thinking, communication, adaptability. All of these very human capabilities allow us to work with AI and not against it. So today's event is about creating a real playbook, one that helps women understand where the market is heading, what skills are essential, and how to prepare for the roles of tomorrow. To help us make sense of the trends, I'm thrilled to welcome someone who's been at the forefront of workforce insights and a dear friend to the Command Shift Coalition, Matt Walsh from Lightcast. Matt, thank you so much for being here.
Wonderful to be with you, Candace, as always.
Great. So let's jump in. So from your perspective, how would you say AI is reshaping the job market right now? And which roles do you see either emerging or disappearing across different levels of the workforce?
It's a great question. Lightcast is a labor market analytics company. And so we track this very closely. In particular, at Lightcast, we have some kind of new big data assets that we can use to follow this, including a large data set of job postings. So we have this kind of real-time pulse on AI demand in the labor market. Every year, we partner with Stanford to publish an AI index. And we found that between 2023 and 2024, in just that year, AI skills surged dramatically. Specifically, job postings asking for generative AI increased fourfold over just that 1 year, and that trend is, likely to increase. So we're seeing new roles like prompt engineers and AI product managers appearing in job titles that really barely existed a year or two ago. On the flip side of that, we're seeing some kind of jobs that require routine tasks like data entry clerks and kind of basic customer support diminishing or shrinking slightly. In a recent publication, we looked at how often skills change. If you look at kind of the top 10 or top 20 skills that are requested in an occupation, how often do those kind of rotate out? And over a period from 2021 to 2024, we found that 32% of those top skills are kind of falling out of an occupation to be replaced by others. And so that really emphasizes the dynamic nature of skill change, and generative AI and other AI techniques are only going to accelerate that. Particularly in highly technical jobs, where instead of 32% of their skills changing, we're seeing that 75% of skills are rotating out over just 3 or 4 years. And we've also been looking at how AI skills are showing up in tech versus non-tech jobs. In July, we'll actually be publishing a report that kind of looks at the state of AI skills in the workforce. And one of the headline interesting findings in that report, I'll kind of tease now, is for the first time in the workforce, we're seeing AI skills and competencies showing up more often outside of tech jobs than they are inside of tech jobs. So more than 50% of demand for AI skills are actually outside of tech. And I think that there's a kind of hesitancy in the labor market right now that might even be kind of slowing down some of this AI adoption, as companies are waiting to identify the successful kind of techniques and products. Some companies are implementing pilots and kind of testing the waters, but many more are waiting to be fast followers to understand where the successful implementation of AI is in the labor market. As soon as those success cases are identified and take off, we really anticipate that the AI demand will increase dramatically once more. So the fast rate of adoption and the fast rate of skill demand increase for AI, we're kind of maybe only seeing the beginnings of it.
Wow, Matt, that is so powerful, and just reiterates the importance of developing AI skills, because we're seeing an emergence of the need for those skills, both in new roles, but also existing ones. So next, I'd like to ask you a question about common misconceptions. What are some of the common misconceptions that you're hearing among women, especially about AI and the future of work?
That's a great question, and I love the particular focus around women in the workplace as it relates to AI. I think that there's a very common misconception that AI skills are largely programming, computer programming, and helping with software development. When the case is you don't really need to be a coder to work with AI. We found that one kind of general skill, AI fluency, is among the fastest growing skills in the labor market. And that goes alongside of other kind of human-centered skills like adaptability and conflict mitigation, all of which can be supported by AI outside of this kind of technical computer programming capacity. So that's one misconception. I think the reality is that AI skills are going to facilitate people in becoming that kind of T-shaped individual, like giving you a lot of breadth of knowledge and helping access information that you might not otherwise have. So becoming that generalist, but able to go deeper in particular areas and to go deeper faster and develop technical skills more quickly. Not necessarily coding technical skills, but other domain relevant skills. And then a final thought about women in particular, I think there was an interesting stat that you opened up with about if we look at where AI skills started, which are in these tech roles, we see this big underrepresentation of women in tech jobs per se. But in the types of professional occupations where AI is spreading most quickly, as I mentioned, we're seeing AI skills now more outside of tech than inside of tech. In those non-tech roles, where AI is spreading, these are the particular roles where women have developed a strong foothold in the professional workplace. These are roles like marketing managers, which are 65% women, research and marketing kind of research analysts, which are 63% women, editors, technical writers, interpreters, all of these roles, which are the kind of non-tech roles that are seeing a lot of AI skills show up in our job postings. These are roles that are in fact have a higher representation of women. And so I think women are kind of on the forefront of how we adopt AI and how we take advantage of the kind of creative destruction that AI presents as an opportunity, where some jobs will shift. But historically, every time we see a new technology get adopted by the labor market and by employers, overall demand for jobs and the types of work that can be performed increases. And women are kind of really at the forefront of determining what that looks like and kind of how adoption takes place.
No, those insights are really interesting, Matt. And I think that it underscores why Empower is so focused on ensuring that we're continuing to create opportunities to train and upskill people. At Empower, we're always aiming to cultivate and train not just for tech, but also for human skills. And so as we see the evolution of AI and roles within tech and outside of tech, we know that that's something that's going to be extremely important as we prepare for the future of work. So how would you recommend both women and employers approach lifelong learning in this evolving landscape?
Yeah, I mentioned this earlier. Employers who are kind of on the forefront of adopting some of these tools are often doing so with pilots. And I think that's a great way to test the waters in a couple of different areas, and then also identify and really cultivate some of these AI champions internally that are well represented in leadership, well represented in middle management, and then also these sort of staff positions that are largely going to be using AI in their day-to-day work. So I think those pilot programs and developing this kind of culture of adoption for AI is a great strategy from the employer side. From the individual side, a lot of these tools can be used in daily life, can be kind of adopted outside of the workplace, and that's a great way to kind of build that AI fluency. In the same way that you might pick up and read a domain relevant book in your spare time, you can kind of play around with some of these tools in your daily life as well. I also think that employees can look to start trying to augment some of their tasks and performance with some of these AI tools. One of the incentives to do this in the report that we'll be releasing in July, we'll provide more details on this, but across every occupation area that we studied, the job postings that are listing AI skills come with a salary premium, a wage premium over the same job, the same occupation, just when it doesn't list those skills. So I think there's a big individual incentive to gain fluency in these skills. And then also, of course, employers have an incentive to figure out where these tools work and to develop that sort of culture of embracing AI.
Great. No, thank you. And, just providing the perspective of the difference in salary that we're seeing for people who demonstrate these AI skills is extremely important. And to your point, a great incentive for those people who may be hesitant about pursuing opportunities for upskilling. And so my last question for you today, Matt, I wanted to ask, in your opinion, which AI-driven roles do you expect to boom next? And what should our audience do to prepare for these roles?
A great final question. And I think it goes back to part of what we were talking about earlier, where these new skills and tools and techniques that are becoming available are going to both create new job titles that we haven't seen before. So things like a generative AI specialist or kind of a generative AI transformation lead, those types of roles will come online. We'll even be speaking to folks later on this call who occupy those particular roles. We'll also see the skill and task content change of existing roles in PR and marketing, in research. As a researcher, I can say that these are now core skills that I'm using on a daily basis. And so I think it's this combination of change of existing roles, new roles coming online, but really broadly, I think almost every occupation will be affected by some of these tools and techniques in some way, especially if it's a office-based job or a job that uses computers.
Great. Well, we really appreciate those insights, Matt, and thank you just for helping us understand how AI is reshaping the labor market and what it means for those people who may be listening in today who are looking for opportunities to enter or advance in tech. And so now we are going to move from trends to real world application. Our next session, AI in Practice, will focus on how AI is being used inside organizations to change workflows, to spark innovation, and impact careers, especially for women. Joining us are two extraordinary leaders. Shauna Jones is the Vice President of Gen AI Adoption at Citi, where she leads AI adoption across complex systems. She's Citi's resident AI evangelist and has a background in commercial banking and technology. Shauna is also the creative mind behind Shauna Black Lens, blending AI with cultural storytelling and empowerment. Julie Samuels is the president and CEO of Tech NYC, representing New York's thriving technology industry. She's also a longtime advocate for tech-forward policy, having led national nonprofits, advised on intellectual property law, and served on multiple influential boards. Julie, Shauna, welcome.
Hello,
Thank you
everyone.
for joining us today. All right, great. Let's get started. My first question for you is, how is AI reshaping not just jobs, but how we work? And who would you say is being impacted the most? And Shauna, let's go ahead and start with you.
There's excellent momentum happening here. I think that AI is reshaping everything we do, personally and professionally. I am in a unique role. I joined Citi in January as an AI adoption program specialist, and this role wasn't even. It was recently created for a team that was recently created. So that speaks to about all of the positions that are growing and changing as a result of AI. So there's tremendous amount of momentum happening here, especially if you even search some of the LinkedIn posts, job postings, search the word AI and see how many of the titles that are new that weren't even there before with regard to AI governance and many of the other fields. So I've personally had the opportunity to shift my role as a result of that, so I can speak to that personally. But just in the community, I'm seeing a lot of opportunities. Last night I had the opportunity to attend a Microsoft AI event, so there's a lot of work being done in the communities where a lot of the tech companies are really doing reaching out and reaching back into the community, and they have some incentive to do so because each of the AI models want everyone using their tools and their services. So there's a lot of work being done in the community to get people out and actually meet people where they are, in hair salons, in churches, and many of them are doing workshops aimed at making sure that people are getting the knowledge and are not left behind. This is something I'm extremely passionate about. There's a lot more work to be done in terms of making sure there's equal and diverse representation on some of these founders boards and other organizations that are promoting the use of AI, and a lot more work to be done in terms of understanding the bias and that data that feeds these AI models. But I can say that a lot of the community partners and certainly the big tech organizations have a lot going on in terms of extending and making sure the community is aware.
Right. Julie?
Yeah, I would echo much of what Shauna said. It's a really exciting time. It just feels like there is a lot of oxygen being pumped in the room right now. There are so many events, there are so many opportunities, and the people we're seeing who are really rising to the moment are people who are literally just playing with the tools in their free time. The people who are comfortable with the technology, not necessarily in a deeply technical way. Of course, there's a lane for that. But in a way where people are early adopters, where they're using GPT at home, where they're on Gemini, figuring out how to plan a trip, whatever the thing is. It's comfort with the evolving technologies that is really starting to set people apart. And that's a really interesting and important time, especially for young women, especially, I mean, for all kinds of people, but for young people, I think it's an amazing opportunity to kind of leapfrog others by having comfort and understanding of what the technology does, and even more importantly, what it doesn't do. And Shauna, so much of what you said resonated with me. There's so many things I wanted to follow up with, but we're spending a lot of time at Tech NYC thinking about how we ensure that we aren't leaving communities behind. And one of the projects we're working on here that has been just really rewarding and really great is something called Decoded Futures. We're working with nonprofit. We're working with Empower on this. We're working with nonprofits across New York City, where we're headquartered, of course, to help them build internal AI capacity. And this is, I could talk more about this later, of course, but this is something I really want to focus on. So much of the conversation around AI is happening up here. It's like the robots are coming, but actually in the day-to-day practice, that's not where we are. Maybe we'll get there. I'll leave that for someone else. There's some other expert on this call who can speak to that. But what we're seeing when we work with nonprofits, when we work with companies in the Tech NYC network who are implementing AI solutions and AI tools, is that it feels smaller. It feels incredibly transformative, but each individual application is more bite-sized. And because of that, I think it's much more approachable than a lot of people think, and it's much more important that we all talk about that.
Yeah, Julie, Shauna, I think you both brought up some really important points. I think, Shauna, what I loved that you shared was just how prominent AI has become even within the past year, and the number of jobs that we're
Yes.
seeing pop up through a simple search. And then Julie, I feel like you know my next question. You really started talking about something that's really important, which is access. And so we're trying to prepare young women who may be listening to us today for these AI jobs of the future, these AI jobs that are popping up in these new searches that we're doing. The question is, how do we address access? How are businesses, nonprofits, and community leaders addressing the equity gap in AI adoption? And also, just a question to you, where are you seeing real movement, and where is support still needed in addressing equity and access for women, especially as we look at more opportunities with AI?
Well, I can speak to my personal journey. I mean, I've been doing AI for 3 years. I've been a banker for 20 something years. But when I started playing, I just started playing with the generative art tools and really made a career pivot based on that. And so you just have to get started. That is, there's a big fear and a big myth that you have to be a programmer or a data scientist to do AI. And that's really not true. So I definitely advise people to check out the LinkedIn posts and look at the qualifications that are in the job posts and teach yourself those skills. There are a lot of great people in the community. There's YouTube University. So I think a lot of it is in getting out of your own head, really, and learning those skills and trying to identify opportunities, because there are a lot of organizations that need these skills, whether you're able to create content for companies or small businesses looking to do marketing. So where I think is addressing that access issue is really dispelling any fear. I think particularly in Black and Brown communities, people are fearful of using the tools because their fear is that if I use this, I am supporting a system and a machine that's going to ultimately take my job. And so one of the things that I always say to people is AI won't take your job, but someone that knows how to use AI will. So I really focus on up leveling in any way possible, upskilling, continuing to do that, reading, learning about emerging technologies so that you can be in front of the curve that is, and the shift that is ultimately going to happen.
Right.
Just one kind of observation I want to make on top of that. Do you all know when you get resumes, or when you all are working on your resumes, and at the bottom it says proficient in, and people write Microsoft Word, Excel. First of all, I mean, I've been reading resumes for a long time. I don't even use Microsoft Word anymore. So first of all, that seems, but there's still this thing that we all do. I really push people to put at the bottom now to show what you're proficient in, even if it's not one specific tool, even if it's thinking about something like prompt engineering, even if it's thinking about GPT, maybe it's thinking about Gamma, maybe it's thinking about I'm really good at building decks. I'm really good at building slides with the various AI tools that are available. Almost everyone has a free level. And as an employer and as someone who speaks to employers, that speaks to me. That to show that, as Shauna's own personal story shows itself, but something that shows me and that shows others that you are experimenting, that you are trying to figure out where the technology is going. I think that's really crucial. So I was really glad, Shauna, how you said the AI is not going to take your job, but someone who uses it. Can you say that again? I want to write that down exactly
Yes,
how you
AI
turned
won't
the
take your
phrase.
job, but someone that uses AI will or knows how to
Will, yeah,
use
I
it.
think that's exactly right. And so again, it's not the bar is actually still really low. We are still quite early. And
Yes,
I keep saying this, but we are early on. And if people, the other thing we didn't talk about specifically is what the tool is. Shauna, you actually talked about this a little bit, but just to spend one more second on this, what a lot of the AI tools are doing is actually making it so you need less technical expertise
Mm,
to do, what you used to need significant technical expertise to do, you can now accomplish without knowing, without being a coder, without being very deep in the technology. And
absolutely.
that's an amazing opportunity if you think about
Yes.
that.
And Candace, I just want to give a free tip to anyone that might be listening right now. Very recently, within the past month, Google released their video model, which is called Google VO3. And there's a tremendous opportunity to create AI video. You can talk, if you can prompt, you can be creating productions, theater production. So the creativity, I think where we're going to see the shift is people aren't going to be consumers, they can be creators. So you can create your own newscast, your own anything that you send. You can be the next Tyler Perry, but you have to be able to pick these tools up before they make it to mass. So just getting on things, testing these tools and being on the front so that now everyone can pay you for your expertise because you know a little bit more than they do. So I want to stress that just jumping in with the tools and experimenting as much as possible.
wow, just so many gems there, right? Like Shauna, your recommendation to look at these job descriptions, look at the skills that people are looking for, and teach yourself. Like we have to empower ourselves, and that's one way that we can create equity and access. We don't have to sit around and wait for other people to do it for us.
Absolutely.
There are resources and tools that are available that we can access ourselves. And then Julie, you just kind of piggybacking on that in this really amazing way by saying that you're looking for proficiencies. And so to be able to articulate the things that you are proficient at and align them with AI is going to be key. And then Shauna, learn the AI tools before everyone else. Those are so valuable for, I think, people to know. And so that kind of takes me to our next question, which really involves us just envisioning what these opportunities can look like for women listening to this conversation today. So I'd like for us to just imagine right now what the world could look like if we had access to the training and upskilling to be proficient in AI.
Yes.
What, Shauna, Julie, would you say thriving in the age of AI would look like for women, especially those who are historically left out of tech?
Absolutely. Well, definitely it would be getting these new jobs that are available. But thriving for me, became again, you're now the creator. You're not the consumer. So I can create my own photo shoots. I can create my own podcasts. Things that you typically needed big production and big studios to do. You can do this. So whatever your message is, whatever your practice is, whatever you're inspired by, you now have the ability to get this out at a quicker, faster, much more efficiently than you were before. And so I think thriving is being able to share more of yourself to free up, automate tasks that were mundane or repetitive, using these automation tools, using workflow tools, and really creating more time for the things that you're truly passionate about.
I was going to really lean on that second point about what we're seeing the tools look like in practice now in the professional context is really about automation, of course, but it's about doing things more quickly, doing the stuff, the mundane tasks, the filling out the spreadsheet. That is the stuff you can do more quickly. And I know very few people who apply for a job and want to get a job that's about filling out a spreadsheet, that's moving data over. So it's really about making the space to do the work. And so what I would challenge young women especially to think about is to take a step back and really, I think, especially when you work at large employers, it's very easy to just kind of feel like you're a cog. I have to do this piece. But I would challenge people to think about how their job fits into the broader organizational goals and think about how you can help move there quicker. This is an amazing, amazing time. Candace, this wasn't a direct answer to your question, but it's a time where no employer knows what it's going to look like in 5 years. They're all guessing, they have predictions, but people don't know. And in those moments, that is when people from underrepresented backgrounds, that is when non-traditional candidates, people who are scrappy, who are hungry, they can get ahead. And Shauna, your story about how you created your job is really, really telling. It's amazing. And these moments, they don't happen that frequently. And I feel really optimistic because I know so many, especially women, who are so creative, so engaged, and just so hungry. And those are the people who are going to be leading our economy in the next 5 to 10 years.
Right. Thank you. So this brings us to our last question. And that is, what would you say are the next pairings or applications we should be thinking about when it comes to AI? And how do you think this affects future roles, especially in fields like hospitality and retail, where we know there are a lot of women who are working in those roles?
I think it could help them. I can't think of a role that one has today that AI cannot help. If you're in hospitality, that means you probably have great people skills. You may have great cooking skills. You know, how can you make cookbooks, get them out faster? How can you take some of these recipes and design images around them and do ebooks or e-training on how other people can use them? I can't think of a role that AI cannot help. Certainly, again, just free gem. There are AI image was probably the first to hit the market from a public perspective. Video is next. So someone can jump ahead of the wave, the curve, teach yourself video. You can be making commercials for other people, 30-second segments that we no longer need large production studios for. So if you can learn that, write a script, and get visuals out for companies, that is a business that you can package and take as a service to empower, or, so I see a tremendous amount of opportunity no matter what field you are in.
I totally agree. One other way to think about it is you can really use AI for your own internal training purposes. So let's say you work in retail, you can use these tools to practice. I see people do this all the time. It's a great way for your own internal training, not internal training, for you could to self-directed training. The other day I was trying to pick out an outfit to wear for something kind of fancy, and I kept taking pictures and asking GPT if it was appropriate. And if you work in retail, you can use that to help yourself get better at what you do.
Absolutely. I mean, even one more thing, I think of a use case for retail, there's a lot going on with e-try-on and virtual try-on, being able to take the clothes that is on a model or in a store and put it on yourself virtually using AI tools. So if you can help someone say, I think this shirt might look good on you, and you're able to quickly create an image or a video with said person wearing that outfit, I mean, that looks like a sale if you've put something together, that looks nice on them.
Shauna, I literally just did this in ChatGPT the other day. I was like, what hairstyle is going to look best on me for my vacation? And I asked it to take my picture and share what it would look like. And it was fascinating. It's the first time I did that. And so what you're telling me is that I need to figure out a way to create a business for that.
Absolutely.
Well, I think that is So important. Again, people should just play with the tools and start meeting them where you are. The
Yep.
things you are most interested in, the things you need in your life, because that is going to get your brain going on what the world of the possible is.
Yeah.
And,
Right.
and
Well,
sometimes we all want to take over the world, but sometimes
mhm.
it's partnering and looking for other people that are doing this and joining forces with them. So Candace, when we start that business model, I got you.
You're the first person I'll call, Shauna.
Yes.
Right. Well, this has been fabulous, and just want to thank you for the gems and the tips and the tricks that we all can apply. You know, we really just need to play with the tools and see how we might be able to utilize them and leverage them to take us to that next step. So, Shauna, Julie, I'd like to thank you so much for this very thoughtful and energizing conversation. What I know you both made clear today is that AI is not just about disruption, but it's about designing a future that works better for more people. So thank you very much today.
Yes. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Great. So our next conversation is all about what happens when opportunity meets preparation. And we are joined by a very important guest, Nikita Rao, a Girls Who Code alum and software engineer from Freed. Nikita has gone through this very specialized technology journey, and we're so glad to hear her story. From learning to code to building real products in an AI-enabled world, Nikita's story reflects what's possible when women are given access to training, mentorship, and the tools to thrive. Join me in welcoming Nikita.
Hello. Thank you, Candace. Thank you so much for having me.
Hi, Nikita. We're so excited to have you here. So my first question, how did you get into tech, and where does AI fit into your tech journey?
Yeah, so one of my earliest introductions to the tech industry started with Girls Who Code during the summer after my junior year of high school. I was actually in the pilot program during 2012, and being surrounded by women in tech and building creatively is what inspired me to keep learning and to pursue it as a career down the road. After working for a couple years as a software engineer, I actually took a gap year in my career during 2024. And it's interesting because the industry saw so much change during that year, and the adoption of AI has grown rapidly. So when I started looking to re-enter the tech industry, I was mostly driven by a passion to work for a mission-oriented startup. And that is what landed me at Freed at the end of last year. AI is a really new part of my journey, and Freed is an AI health tech startup. We're building a medical AI scribe for clinicians. So naturally, I've had to ramp up pretty quickly. It's been really interesting to take advantage of AI assisted programming and improve my skills in collaborating with an AI agent to solve real problems.
Oh, wow, that is really incredible, Nikita. And love that, you were able to share how this transition after your gap year led you to a place that was mission oriented and is exposing you to AI. So I wonder, like, what skills or support do you think made the biggest difference for you as you transitioned into tech and started working in AI?
Girls Who Code is what really introduced me to the tech industry and helped me feel a sense of belonging in this space. And throughout my career, various mentors have inspired me through their passion for the work and their encouragement and belief in me. My introduction to AI in the workplace has come fairly recently with taking on this software engineering role. And the support of my teammates and engineering leadership has made a huge difference. There have been ongoing conversations in the workplace about what skills we should specifically hone in on to best incorporate AI. And I've had the chance to pair program with some engineers who are more expert in these skills. We've also had demos showcasing successful projects built with AI, and this has all helped me learn where I can fill the gaps and use AI for maximum efficiency for my work and the benefit of the entire product. So far for me, it's been really key to improve my prompt engineering. I know that was mentioned earlier. The way that I instruct the agent by being specific about my goals and giving sufficient context and providing examples of patterns. I'm always looking to build my technical skills, but the soft skills are also really important. It helps to be adaptable, to collaborate and communicate effectively, and to lead with empathy.
Nikita, that's great, and really speaks to what we've been hearing all day, which is that tech skills matter, but mindset support are what make them stick, and also that those soft skills matter just as much. So looking ahead, what challenges do you think still exist for other women like you, especially those just getting started? And what do you think we can do about them?
Yeah. According to the Randstad report, 71% of men say that they have AI skills, while only 29% of women report having the same abilities. I know you mentioned that earlier, Candace. I just wanted to highlight it. But women are less likely to have been offered opportunities to upskill on AI and are also less confident that the training they've received has prepared them to use the technology in their careers. Last year, I did feel like I was falling behind in up-leveling my skills to keep up with the pace of change in the tech industry. And I'm grateful that I landed at a startup which is at the forefront of AI that prioritizes constant learning and supporting our engineers in that learning process. I do think the best way to overcome the fear of the unknown with AI is to dive in and to try it. I think organizations can work on understanding the barriers to entry and empower women to support adoption. Taking from what I've experienced, it's really helpful to have ongoing conversations on how people are using AI to optimize their work through workshops, office hours, demos, and even pair programming. The best thing we can do is invest in early education programs, mentorship, and upskilling pathways, which help women take ownership and feel confident. So programs like Girls Who Code and Empower are doing just that. For me, joining the Girls Who Code Alumni Council has given me opportunities to bolster women in tech and has revived my sense of community. Girls Who Code has several branches such as college organizations and high school clubs, which also help build these skills within a supportive environment. So when people see others thriving in AI roles, it reinforces that there is a place for them too. That's why programs like Girls Who Code, Empower, and events like this one are so important. They spotlight what's possible and help more women build the skills and confidence to step into their tech careers.
Well, thank you, Nikita. I think it's so important that you mentioned that we need to focus on opportunity, but also confidence as we're working to encourage more women to pursue opportunities in tech and also in tech specifically with AI. We're so excited that you could join today. And I really appreciate you not only sharing your path to tech, but also sharing your very real perspective of what it means to grow, learn, and build with AI in today's workplace. So as we close out our day, we want to focus on alignment. That would be alignment between talent and employers, alignment between training programs and the jobs of tomorrow. And so in our final session, what employers need and what's next, we'll hear from all of today's speakers and explore how we bridge gaps and build systems that truly work for women in tech. So Matt, Shauna, Julie, and Nikita, welcome back. Right, and so first question for you all. How are hiring practices evolving in an AI-driven workplace? And what should women be aware of as they look for roles in tech and beyond? And Matt, I'm going to pitch this question to you first.
Yeah, well, the sort of zoomed out perspective here, the headliner is that there's been a kind of broad chill in kind of all hiring, which I think is reflective of many of kind of job seekers' experience out in the market. As there's been a chill in hiring, it's gotten easier and easier to apply for jobs. So there's a sense that people are submitting hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of resumes and applications and maybe not hearing back. There's been kind of this trend among employers to not respond and not put automated responses to people, which kind of leaves them hanging. So I think there's this kind of a tight feeling in the market now among job seekers. But one of the areas where employers are continuing to invest are in some of these kind of novel little AI pilots. And so making the case that you are fluent in some of these AI skills, that you have use them in your previous work or in your own life, like really being able to make the case that you have that fluency is, I think, one way to stand out in a crowded field.
Right. Shauna, Julie, or Nikita, would you like to add to this?
I really think, Matt made an important point. I think if you're putting a resume out today, you would definitely want to make sure it says AI fluency, just as people would say Word 15 years ago. The key word now is definitely having some prompt engineering, familiar with other AI models somewhere embedded in that resume and making yourself stand out. That would definitely be my recommendation.
Great. And so, what do truly inclusive pathways into AI and tech look like? And what are we still getting wrong? And I'd like to pitch this question to Julie.
I think that's a really good question. I think, we're still getting wrong, of course, that certain people in hiring roles have a lens for hiring that is not flexible.
Mm-hmm.
They think there's a certain model. That's what we're getting wrong. I think I hesitate to start with the negative because I think there are a lot of people I know working incredibly hard to fix that. And I think that's really important. I think that these types of conversations I spend a lot of my time talking with people in government as well. We're doing a lot of work with city government, with state government, really thinking about how we can change the education system, starting in kindergarten and up, and going forward so that people from all over New York City, all over America have access to the kinds of education opportunities and better understanding of what potential careers look like. So there's a lot of work happening, and Power, of course, Girls Who Code are at the forefront of this. And I think that the best thing for individuals right now to do is to get involved with organizations like that, to go to events, to meet people like all of us on this panel, go to the Girls Who Code event and sign up for their newsletter, get a sense of how to get out there. And then people like me and like many others are doing the big systemic work of trying to right the ship in the bigger picture.
Okay. Nikita, what are your thoughts about inclusive pathways into AI for women?
Yeah, inclusivity, I think it creates space for your perspective and supports your growth and your skill building. So as Julie mentioned, Girls Who Code is one of these pathways, which helped me see that I could walk this career path, and it has continued to support me by providing resources and a sense of community. I think it's also about visibility. We need more platforms that make women visible in AI, not just as users, but as builders and leaders. We need transparency on who is at the table, who benefits, and who decides what AI should do. Inclusion requires ongoing mentorship, career mobility, and leadership support.
Right. No, well, thank you so much for that, Nikita. And now our last question. What's one piece of advice that you'd give to a woman looking to break in or break through in this AI-powered workforce? Matt?
Yeah, one piece of advice. I think that it's been something that's been mentioned across a couple of the panelists here, which is to begin to play around with some of these new tools.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in a job now and you think, oh, it's AI is not particularly relevant, maybe you can help determine what the AI use case is. If you're planning for a vacation and you're looking to build out a wardrobe, Candace, as you mentioned, that fluency comes from exposure. And so I would say kind of start playing around. I don't know that there's a lock as far as how to position yourself strategically in the market, because this is an evolving field. And so be part of the evolution by kind of getting your toes wet.
Great. Shauna?
I would definitely say join the Facebook groups. There are several large Facebook groups dedicated to AI for entrepreneurs, AI for Black women in AI, whatever the group is, join it. those are some of the first places that you're going to see the tools, people using the tools. People announce the drop and share products of their output, share their output early. And of course, being under those circles where people are constantly creating or constantly sharing prompts will certainly motivate you to continue experimenting. And so that is definitely my advice. Join Facebook groups or whatever your platform of choice. Facebook has been mine, but I'm in several groups. I get the prompts if a tool drops, whether it's Manus, GO3. I'm on top of it, and I see people pushing their workout. So I'm like, okay, when I get off work today, I want to try this one, but you learn fast.
Absolutely. Julie.
Well, I agree with both of those. And Matt, I think in my panel, said many times, I think it's really important to play around and experiment with the tools. So I'd echo that. But I also think I have one not word of caution, but one thing to think about. Especially if it's in the workplace and you are using tools, you should always make sure that if it's for work product, if you're giving a supervisor something and you use AI, you should make sure you tell people that. You should use it, but make sure you're transparent about it. I think that's a really important flag that I just wanted to say. But play around with them as much as you can. Just make sure your supervisor or your boss knows.
Great. And last but not least, Nikita.
Yeah, a lot of this advice definitely resonates for me. I think I would say don't wait to be ready and just claim space early, ask big questions, and be involved in shaping the conversation as much as the technology. I also think that in an AI-powered future, the most powerful contributions come from people who bring perspective, intuition, and context. So just dive in and teach yourself.
Great. No, I love that. Powerful last words. Don't wait to be ready and dive in and teach yourself. Thank you, Matt, Shauna, Julie, and Nikita for your insight, your leadership, and your commitment to helping to create a future where more women can thrive in tech. Today's conversation, I know for me, has been very energizing and also deeply personal. We've heard stories of transformation, we've seen data driven insights, and learned how real people are navigating the rise of AI. But beyond the tech and trends, one truth stands out: we all belong in this future. This isn't about AI learning, it's about leading with it, building careers, solving real problems, and designing workplaces that work for more people. If you're wondering where you can begin to get started on your AI skills journey, you can start small. Look into training programs from Empowering Girls Who Code, as well as other Command Shift Coalition partners, and explore LinkedIn Learning, where AI and digital skill pathways are available to anyone who is ready to grow. Also, I know Shauna mentioned YouTube University a little bit earlier. Listen, we don't have to sit on the sidelines of innovation. The future of AI, we know, isn't fixed. We all have the power and responsibility to shape it together. And I know we will. Thank you to everyone who joined today, to the Command Shift Coalition, our incredible partners at Girls Who Code, and all of today's panelists, Matt, Shauna, Julie, and Nikita. Thank you for such an inspiring conversation. And thank you to everyone who tuned in. We appreciate you being a part of this important conversation. Have an amazing day.
Thank you.